Welcome back to the FACEIT Global Summit, and I am here with a fabulous Sharky for a bit of a tempo check, because last time I spoke to you guys, I spoke to Maluk, bit of a slow start on Miramar, but now you guys are hot stuff on Erangel, so how did you bring things back?
It was like a full mental reset for us, and we basically just had to forget about the games we had earlier and just bounce back from that. So.
And is Microstar anything to do with that? Because I know the two of you came into the team about 3 months ago.
Yeah, he kind of just is like a fifth perspective, I guess, to our team, and he's just really good with us and make sure everyone's like staying cool and keeping stuff in check.
I've got a bone to pick with you, a chicken bone, so to speak, because I just found out in the ad break that there's a brand of chicken restaurant here. I'm not going to actually name what it is. And you guys all went out for one the other night with Microstar, but Dre didn't. He was falling asleep. What happened there?
He missed out because that was a really good food. Probably the best I've had since being here. Yeah, Dre definitely missed out sleeping in.
There we go. Scoop of the day for you there. But we do want to talk about Dre, because Dre behind the rock versus NIP, it was almost a 2v2. The rock did play its part. What happened there? What was going on comms, Sharky?
I was basically being told to throw nades and like peek towards the players that were prone on the rocks, and I just couldn't land a nade on where they were because we didn't know exactly where they were, but I ended up peeking and over-peeking and got knocked.
And what happened to Dre, though? Were you cheering him on? Were you all just waiting with bated breath?
We didn't really say anything until he wiped the guy. We said, like, let's go, or I forget what it was, but it was something like, just to hype him up. And we called it was a 1v2 immediately, so he knew.
Shoot to Kill were top of the leaderboard yesterday. My question is, are you a better team than them?
Time will tell. Right now, we're just trying to play our game and focus on what's to come next. Not really worried about anyone else.
Well, if you were worried about Tempo Storm, or you couldn't be more excited for them, you think they're going to get a chicken dinner next, then let us know using the hashtag FACEIT Global Summit. But for now, let's head back to the desk.
Apparently they don't need a cheeky one if they've already gone for a cheeky Nando's here, apparently, with those chicken dinners. I'm going to name it, I don't care. Of course, as we are here in Britain and in London. And we do have, to my right-hand side, Toffees and Avenger. We have not gone for a cheeky one.
No.
We went for, as we said, the Brazilian barbecue before. Why is this all of a sudden turned into a food conversation?
For all of those of you watching at home from maybe North America and other regions, cheeky means on the spur of the moment.
Oh my God.
It's true. Well, because I kept telling Rich, the first time I was here, I was like, we need to go for a cheeky Nando's. Like, it can't be a cheeky Nando's if you plan it ahead of time, mate.
Wow.
So I just let you know.
I suppose. Yeah, I guess so. You're right. What other culinary expertise do you have for us, Toffees? Anything else? Or?
I like 2 lumps of sugar with my tea, as you can probably tell.
You're a disaster. Anyway, let's keep going on with this. We have one more game left. And we do have the potential here for NIP to actually cross the border of where STK was, or Shoot to Kill even, I should say, when it came to how many points they were able to accrue over one single day, which I don't think we even expected to potentially be breached by any team after Shoot to Kill had an amazing day number 1.
I wouldn't say so. I mean, 13 points on an average over 6 games is absolutely insane. But here we are, and it's looking pretty damn close.
Yes.
And honestly, I mean, 6 kills is very achievable on Erangel, first of all, where NIP is in a really good spot. They already scared VHT out of South George. They're not going to come there anymore. And if we have a really rough Eastern plane, it looks like it's pretty open where they usually drop, so they can also go to their backup drop, not like the 4 other teams that we have looting between the 2 bridges.
Yeah, I mean, I think as we take a look at the leaderboard right now, we see some teams that have moved up. We see a lot of guys starting to chase those Brazilian Crusaders. Windstrike right on the cusp there. Tempo has already moved up into 11th place. So my big worry, though, is OMG with only 18 points. And honestly, down there, Bluebees at 10. I mean, the Bluebees need to get a lot bigger in terms of how they're playing these games if they're going to make a stance. We've got 1 match left before they're down to 6. We're at the halfway point for these C-Boys, and we've only got 1 game left for the B-Boys. So those B-Boys need to start breaking it down. And I think win some big points in the last one.
I mean, the most important thing for me to take away from this is that NIP is currently in joint 2nd place in B and C right now, which is surpassing 6 teams that have had a whole day's worth of games before even coming into today. That's massive from NIP. Huge.
I mean, I think it's absolutely nuts that when we look at the overall leaderboards at the end of today, that STK and NIP are going to be in the top 4, is my guess, position with half of their games yet to play. And I can't wait to see those 2 teams bang it out tomorrow.
Yeah, that's very exciting as well when you get A versus C.
I would say, I mean, they can go to home today and pretty much to already be in the grand finals.
Yeah.
I would say, because there's so many teams that are either having a really bad second day or mediocre first day.
Yeah.
And so far they've been just putting out there, and as I would say, shoot to kill, 100% expect them to see in the grand finals as well.
Now you got to wonder, if they do go home tonight and they say we're safely in the grand finals, do you start to think, who else do I want in the grand finals with me, and spend part of your day tomorrow making sure those you don't want to deal with in the finals don't get to go?
I think there's a great moment at the end of tomorrow where the culmination of all of our points are collected, added up, and then we see that final table. Because you don't get to see it until the very end of tomorrow, basically. You don't get to see how everybody is shaped up across a space of 2 days where all of these groups have gone head to head. And that team on screen right now in Tempo Storm is just looking for a bit more oomph here to try and get themselves a few more points on the board.
They said they needed to reset. They did a re-mental check during the lunch break. Thank goodness we had the lunch break so that they could make a comeback. But this is something I want to point out. They've matured a lot over time. I think that there was a period when if Tempo was having a bad day, it was hard for them to let it go in the course of that day. They needed time off to come back. They've matured. Maybe it's micro, maybe it's just age over the last year. But the fact that they bounced back with a half-hour break is really encouraging.
For me, honestly, here, we're giving them a bit of a hard time because we kind of expect them to do amazingly after their amazing run in NPL.
Definitely.
But they're sitting in 7th. They have 30 points. They're not looking too shabby because they also have games tomorrow.
Yep.
And I know Tempo Storm, once they get started, they're gonna go full steam ahead. Plus, if they go into the sudden death stage, they're gonna be like in the top 5 of those bottom 16 for sure.
I think they might. I think they win this one. They bounced back faster than Ents did yesterday. So if they continue that rise, then tomorrow's a great day. And maybe even if they finish with a win, it's 2 back-to-back second places. Someone's hungry.
Let's get it done then. It is the final map of Erangel here for day number 2 of the FACEIT Global Summit, and we are getting hyped, ladies and gentlemen. 16 teams are going to descend onto Erangel for the final time for today. Casters, take it away for all the action.
Thank you so much, Kalaris. My name is Matrim, and I am joined here by Paper Thin, and we have one more game for Group B. They've played 15 so far, and this is their last game. If you guys are not familiar with how this all breaks down, remember we have 3 different groups. One of them is not playing today, so we have 2 more that are coming through. So Group B played yesterday and today. So they have to sit back and watch tomorrow as we could see their leaderboard spots overtaken.
Right, a couple of teams I have my eye on here from Group B. 17 Gaming, of course, Afrika Freaks Fatal, up there in 1 and 2. Of course, you've got to look at NIP. They're tied for number 2 after a crazy, day 2 here.
I'm just curious, can they get more points than what we saw that STK get yesterday? They still have one more game and could do it.
This is crazy. I mean, 73 points already in one day. Already is absolutely insane. Afrika Freaks Fatal set themselves up well, and I want to go back to the Group B teams just a little bit more. Armory is up there in 4th place, right? Our Thai team, if they have one more amazing round, they could absolutely propel themselves into the grand finals, and they might be our dark horse here.
Armory Gaming has had one hell of a day. They have shown up today. I don't know what happened last night. They went back, I guess the VOD reviews paid off for them or whatever they did. It has paid off so big for them. But here we go. We've got everybody that's doing their stretches, going for their drops. Nothing too terribly crazy is what we're looking at. Maybe a little bit of a stretch back down towards military base. We can see that we do have Entis Force down there.
Yeah, Entis Force, they've never dropped here before, so this is an interesting decision from them. They had a decent round last round. They managed to find their way into the last 4 teams and, get a decent placement here, but that's not going to be enough. They need to find some kills and a stronger finish at the end. Arrow Wolves not going to North George this time. This is another difference that we saw from the last round, but our first circle will show itself here very soon, and this looks kind of familiar to me, Matrim.
I'm willing to bet that there's a little bit of profanities that are happening in the comms right now. As you can see, there's a lot of water up towards the north, actually making its way back over next to Stolber as well. So naturally, if you're Envy or if you're Ents, you're feeling pretty good about what's going on, but I gotta say that modification came out from Force. Going over to military base, probably a little upset about it.
Yeah, they were probably maybe playing the...
Don't worry, NBS, it'll be fine, it'll be fine.
It's not the end of the world.
I love it. Yes, Miraku, do the dance of happiness and shame around him, be like, yes, I've seen what has happened to you.
They're okay. They're going to get going on. South George looks to be pretty uncontested right now. Although what's really interesting here, Tempo Storm is already making their way into the circle. They haven't, I don't know if they've even looted, they haven't looted much. They've got a little bit of loot. We see some guns here, but they're doing the clown car. They've got all 4 members in a US, and they're heading right up onto the side of the mountain here by South George.
What were they doing? They had to know that South George and North George was just going to be a mess. They have to know that just based off of their knowledge on where drops went to. It looks like they were choosing to rotate up there, maybe just get a little bit more information. But here we go. We got Arrow Wolves just kind of hanging out, doing what they're doing, getting some loot. Nothing too terribly crazy going into play right now.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like anything too crazy is going to happen in the beginning of the game here. We haven't seen much early fighting other than NIP with themselves in a vehicle. That's all we've got so far. Temple Storm is heading back down to Gatka right now. You can see 17 who has landed into Pachinki uncontested today. We'll see if that continues. Well, they won't be here tomorrow, so that we don't need to worry about that. But tomorrow will Pachinki be contested again between C9 and Team Liquid? That's going to be an interesting thing to look forward to tomorrow. You can see here down in the military base, you have Entis Force NV over in their normal loot location here in Yaz, so nothing too strange there.
Got Kale apparently drew the short end of the stick and had to go up there and do the looting around the top. It's got good loot on it. The problem with it is it takes a while to get up there and get all that stuff. We've seen a lot of teams actually shift away from dropping military base over in North America because just based off of how the loot nodes work down in that location, gives you tons of guns, tons of the great things to kill people with, but also lacks a lot of utility due to that. Just due to like how plentiful the good guns are and everything, you end up with not a lot of smoke. So I want to keep an eye on Force and see if they still walk away having a lot of utility used towards the mid and late game.
Yeah, exactly. The only team we have here that has consistently been dropping military base in this tournament is the OP Gaming Rangers, and a lot of their ability to make that work in the PKL was because you can kind of learn teams' tendencies, right? They knew what the other teams were rotating, so they knew how and when to safely rotate out of military base and get into the circles, even if they are way north of here. The challenge that you're facing here is a lot of these teams are doing different stuff. This round, we're already seeing many different teams drop into different locations, so it's a lot more risky to rotate outside.
Oh, he stuck the landing. Look at that.
There you go. All things are going great here for AG so far today, and there's another example. You get some style points on top of all these kills and placement points they're getting.
YY having a little bit of difficulties as well. It seems like usually it's the blue that is the greatest enemy inside of a PUBG round, but it seems like driving right now is a little bit of a problem for a lot of people, as it's going to be 4M taking a couple of shots back over towards Ints, but they're going to make it over to safety, so it should be pretty fine.
Godvy's only got 2 more bullets left in this gun. He might try to make one of them connect here, but it looks like the 2 members of Ents here, Squeaky and Mikaz, are going to be relatively okay. Yep, Squeaky's inside the house. Mikaz has got a grenade in his hand, but Godvy's only got 2 bullets in here, so this is probably pretty safe here.
They don't know that, though, so they're going to try to avoid every single window that they can. Looks like they might be prepping the motorcycle, or are they just kind of resetting it? You can tell, one of these things happens. Either they're just kind of repositioning so that way if they need to make the great getaway, they're set and ready to go, or yeah, that's just all they were doing. They're just turning around, poking it back over towards the doors. Nothing too crazy. Nice shot coming out for Forever. Gets it down onto Mikas. Is this going to be the go signal? And looks like it. They're firmly aware that there are only 2 people there. So here comes the crashes. Look at this. Godvy just runs right down, and Squeaky's like, nah, bro, you're on your own now. I don't want to have anything to do with this. And nice shots coming out. Can Squeaky even make it away? Reloads are going to come through, and you can see the follow-up shots are not quite connecting. I think he's going to make it up over the hill and does manage to make it to safety, but Mikas, sorry, bro.
Pretty much what you would expect out of the Chinese team, 4AM. They like to be aggressive. They got that early knock. They had all 4 members right in position, ready to pounce onto that. So well done by 4AM to pick up the first kill and first point here of the last round of the day.
A lot of rotations coming into play already. OMG is just driving kind of around, doing whatever they want to do, making their way back over next to Windstrike. So this could be kind of interesting. This Jorski's going to probably spot them out, take a couple of shots. Going to connect with a couple of them. Look at that. Silent just gets dropped out of the back of that car. Cloud's going to, looks like he might actually stop and try to go back and defend his teammate. This could be kind of problematic as the rest of OMG is nowhere around this. And yep, finally decides that he's going to go ahead and leave them behind as well. As kind of been the story of the beginning of this game, is just going up. Sorry, there's nothing I can do. And AG already in position, taking some shots at rotating Arrow Wolves as well.
Yeah, here come the Arrow Wolves. They're taking a lot of damage. In fact, Datmach does get taken out of the vehicle, but Duckmans gets knocked here. He gets run over by Avo, who's trying to get away now himself. He's taking about half health. General looking to try to protect Avo. Oh, Avo is taking a lot of damage. He does get knocked too.
We got Duckmans down on the side for AG, and they're just not afraid to take these shots. Look, Han Boya is just running back over here, throwing down the smokes, going to go for the flush, and says, no, Duckmans, we need you alive.
Another great start here for AG, picking up a couple kills for themselves. Afrika Freaks Fatal over on the coast here of the Yasnaya Lake. Envy, they've got the information. He heard Moody, so NN hiding behind this hill, waiting for the other members, or possibly he might have to get out. We've seen this a lot from the Afrika Freaks Fatal, where NN is kind of out on his own, and it's mostly worked for them today.
But Style is not even anywhere near here, actually rotating to the other side of the bridge right next to this. NN's just kind of by himself. So here you can see across the left side of the screen, these are scores from today and the points that have been accumulated just today. So with this, NIP up at the top, 73 points, and Afrika Freaks Fatal having a great day as well, but AG also with 48 points and INS with 38.
Yeah, there have been a couple teams that are absolutely popping off today, especially AG and AFF, which didn't have the best of days yesterday, but today are having very strong rounds.
OMG, you're driving into a spot you may not like, running right up into NIP's home territory. We've seen a couple of teams that have regretted this, but OMG spinning back around, taking a couple of shots back over towards NIP as they drive through. So with this, just 2 members of OMG have already, they're the only 2 that are up right now, so they just have to run and gun their way through as, oh no, another member goes down. It is just Clouds, the last member alive.
Disaster here for OMG. It just hasn't been their day. They had a decent round last round, but overall, it's been a pretty forgettable day for OMG. Cloud's going to have to make the long rotation here to the bridge up into northern George. He's going to take a bit of damage. He's got enough utility, though, that he can survive for a while. We'll see how this plays out for him. VSG moving up to the top here. They dropped into North George uncontested this time because Arrow Wolves decided to go to Milta this round.
And with that random fight that kind of broke out with OMG, now NIP has been stalled just a bit and has gotten a little bit of a contest with Windstrike, who was driving along this area and was expecting to see NIP rotate much earlier than this. So we're having a little bit of a blue fight around Everest, but it looks like it's starting to disengage a little bit. But this means that Windstrike is probably going to have to rotate back over towards the west, follow along that same path that Clouds took, and that's going to be a lot of damage that's going to slowly stack up. New circle pops, and looks like we are headed over towards Stallberg.
Yeah, a lot of teams making their rotation here. You know, I got a bit of a bone to pick about calling the mountain south of George Everest. It's not the tallest point. It's not the tallest point in the map.
We just became best friends. Yeah. It bothers me so much. Stallberg is so much taller, and Everest is not. Thank you. It's that, and whenever people call the Luchador Arena in Picado boxing ring, it is not a boxing ring. All right.
I'm glad we can agree on that. No, we did just become best friends.
It's the way it works. We're up here doing like a happy dance. You guys don't even get to see, but uh-oh. Chifley gets a nice shots back over towards NN as he's just going to get flushed out there. Easy peasy pick up on points for them. But we've got INS. It looks like Rustamar was also looking back on another angle. Lambu's right on top of Grenade and going to go down as well. This is not good for Afrika Freaks Fatal as they are just getting dismantled on their approach. They've got 4AM down on the other side of this, taking a couple of shots as well. And that is so many people going out. I think there is only just 1 member. I think Style is the last guy alive and just driving, trying to get away from any gunshots.
They just got caught in the middle of about 5 teams that were making a rotation to the western edge of the hill of Stallberg here, and they were the unlucky ones there. They got completely smashed between 4AM and AG is over there as well. BB 17, so Style, he's the last member alive. He's going to get out of here and try to find another way to survive to the end game.
There's nowhere really to go. He's got this lake that's just to the south of him, but if you're familiar with how Stallberg is set up, there's all these little flat places as you make your way up. It's almost like a step-style position. It looks like Envy's Venerated getting a nice shot over towards Fong, but with those high ground positions covered, you have to be very careful on your approach. Leo, last member up, a couple of shots coming on the other side of that, and that's going to be Venerated. Interrogate actually taking the shots over there, so now we got Pat Caps right up into the face of them, taking a couple of shots right around the corner with it. You can see Leo doing a little bit of a peak battle back and forth around this, but Moody's going to go ahead and pick him up, and that's going to be a nice kill coming up for them, as really no other members of MP5 anywhere near here as they are way off to the east.
Yeah, MP5 trying a very wide 2-2 split there that didn't quite pan out for them. Squeaky though, oh Clouds, oh my gosh, Clouds, he will go down, and that will be OMG out in 16th place.
He almost got away from the exploding vehicle, but there was just nowhere for him to go, as nobody's really made their way up towards Stallberg. Naturally, we've got Envy that's done a little bit of a shift off to the side. Tempo Storm finally making their way into circle way down towards the south. Interesting split coming out from VSG. Star-Lord way over to the east, while the rest of his team is playing right along the edge there. But you can kind of see all those little flat positions all around Stallberg, all claimed already. If we see this go back over towards Stallberg, it is going to be a hilarious hellacious uphill battle for a lot of these teams.
Yeah, absolutely. I think VSG needs to make a rotation around the Crusaders to catch up to Star-Lord. This is pretty typical for them. Star-Lord's usually the one out in front for them, you know, scouting for information, calling the shots for the rest of the team here, but they do have the Crusaders in the way here. 17 Gaming to the south of that. You can see Tempo Storm making their rotations as well. Ninjas in Pajamas having an unreal day, following up behind this. Force making their rotation here as well.
Everybody finally making it inside the safe zone as new one does pop. It's got a little bit of Stolber in play, and it's got Yasnaya. Looks kind of similar to where we were at beforehand. So with this, your boy Dre just driving through. I wouldn't be surprised if we heard a couple of horn honks back and forth. Just saying hi. I see you.
You just got to say hi. We haven't seen any shots come out from them. Nobody's really trying to Mad Max each other here. They're just going to let each other move on their way. And
no Reddit plays of people trying to do the seat switch and take a couple of shots. Just make sure, you know, just driving through. Everybody kind of knows where everybody's rotating at this point, but it's all about the foothills all around Stolber. That seems like where it's going to be the bloodbath that is waiting to happen. Yak taking a couple of shots back over to Luke as he had to try to reposition there. We've got Force that is just surrounding Tempo Storm. So many different angles that they have onto him. We've got Yak onto one side, and look at this Kale also making his little bit of a push back over there with Indigo on the other side of it. Sharky taking a lot of damage. They're just trying to play around the smokes, but it looks like Sharky might go down. If another one of the shots does connect, and yep, Yak does manage to get that. That's 2 members down right now. So looks like a little bit of a push now coming into play, at least a reposition. Indigo did go down from Zampa on the side of this. Zampa's taking a lot of damage, does spin back around and takes down Kale as well. So finally the northern part of the circle is starting to relent, and Tempo Storm can go for a reposition. Meanwhile, on the other side of that, VSG getting caught in that fight you were talking about with Crusaders.
Yeah, VSG, Hulk trying. He's got 2 members of the Crusaders pinned behind this tree. Hulk, the top damage dealer for VSG during the regular season, landing a lot of shots. Star-Lord getting a knock as well. Hulk confirms the kill onto Raspu here. VSG pouncing onto the Crusaders.
Crazy reposition from Star-Lord, starting to pay off, but he does go down. That's going to put him in a terrible spot, easily flushed out. So now VSG, they only have that one angle, trying to see if they can get anything else out of it. On the other side of this, we've got 4 AM taking a couple of shots back over towards 17, and yes, you did see that pop across the top. Tempo Storm did get eliminated as well.
Yeah, a nice pick set up there by, oh, wait. No, oh yeah, that was okay.
Tempo Storm eliminated on the other side of it.
The other way. Yeah.
Sorry.
I thought that was going to be a nice pick. Oh my goodness, VSG just tearing them apart. But 1 FPS does get a knock here as well. So 1 remaining member here for the Crusaders. 2 members up and a knock here for VSG. Juanita trying to find an angle here. Dangche trying to get the flank.
So with this, we got a Dangche that's slowly making his way up that hillside. We've got Zero getting a little bit of a gatekeeping spot, but really it's just taking so much time. You can see that the blue is about to connect over here. They're going to have to make their way up and forward. 1 FPS kind of holding this other angle, slowing them down, but it's almost a mutually assured destruction point for this. As yeah, you can see Juanita just does a nice spin back around towards 1 FPS. Now it's just Zero up to the top, and it's going to be the rest of VSG having to make a push back up there. Are they running back over to, no, surely they're not going to try to res. I wouldn't be surprised if they're just trying to get some meds off of this, as I believe Juanita's just acknowledged the fact that this is where I'm going to have to live for a while.
What started out as a good fight for VSG here has quickly fallen apart. Rusty will be the last surviving member of the Crusaders. We still, okay, they do get the res onto Hulk, so will he have enough time to pull off the heal to survive the blue damage here? Juanita up as well. I don't know if they're going to go for Dangche here. If VSG can get all 3 members back up, that would be crazy.
It would be so hard to do with the blue tick that's coming into play at the stage that we're at. You can see it's just so much damage that's stacking, and they still have about 150 meters that they have to go. So they do have 2 up, but they're going to have to run up this hillside, and Rusty is still just sitting here waiting at this point. This is potentially just 2 free points. He only has to connect with just a couple of shots and can really just mop them up.
It's just so much damage that they're taking from the blue. Phase 4, quite a bit damage being done. They don't have a ton of heals left. I noticed that Hulk didn't even have a first aid kit left, so it's going to be really almost impossible for them to come up the hill. Ninjas in Pajamas putting some shots into NV here. NV hiding in the smoke, so a little bit of damage being done. There's Windstrike over there as well.
All those teams that were just posted up along the hillside have just gotten circle favor, so they just get a look at everybody that's rotating out and around them. Really, it's just back down towards the south where it is really, really bloody. As you can see, Envy are just kind of caught out. They've got NIP taking some shots at him. Styles still alive. Looks like he's going to be making a similar approach. We got NP5 looking the remaining 2 members of Tempo Storm off to the side.
You know, it's crazy. Stallbar is still open here, and I think Tempo Storm might be opting to go in there. This is a great view of Ninjas in Pajamas. This angle they have onto Teme from Windstrike, who is just completely out on an island there. Juanita taking a little bit, okay, no real damage coming in from Rusty. Rusty wants to try to get in here and block Juanita from getting into the circle. Him and the last member of VSG are still up, so Hulk and Juanita, but they have to stop to heal.
So we got Rusty still aware of where they're at, right on the edge of the circle. They've got a couple more meds that they can play with, slowly creeping their way forward. Is Rusty gonna spot this out? He's making the push over onto that angle, and here's our boy Style, last guy alive for his squad, just running right through the BBs. Gonna end up right over here next to him, gonna take over this little spot and be like, okay guys, it's your job to protect me now. Let's just be friends. As grenades are starting to rain down next to him, he's like, no, this is not what I wanted. We're supposed to be friends, guys.
No friendship here from the Japanese team, trying to push in on the last member of AFF. Style in a lot of trouble here. BB, this time they've got 3 members up. They're looking to surround Style, but Windstrike is over here as well. You can see, Brazilian kind of has, he sensed it out. He might have gotten a glimpse of them, and it looks like they're having a tough time finishing Style off.
Well, we've got Ninjas in Pajamas making a push back over towards Envy. They did make their cross. Win right over here next to it, taking a couple of shots back over towards Envy as Bard goes down inside of that exchange. We have Gaxi on the other side of it, still looking back over. So many members of Envy all grouped up, look like they might be going for res. This grenade could be absolutely huge. The bounce is really good. It goes just a little bit too far. There's going to be a follow-up nade right up at their feet. Somehow Envy is managing to just barely avoid the damage on this as the grenades are just bouncing off to the sides of them. They managed to get all their members back up. It looks like Venerated is also going to be able to get the meds back up as well. So now reposition, going back over towards their cars. The smoke's really paying off for them.
Wow, Envy there avoiding disaster by inches. The grenades just going a little too far here from Ninjas in Pajamas. They've already got 4 kills though. They're looking to push in here and rack up some more.
Here we go, Ninjas in Pajamas retreating back off of this, making their way back up towards this hillside. Very aware the new circle's about to pop. They're probably going to have to be moving, so want to move together. I'm still just surprised that Style is alive. Every single time I look at the map, he's just hanging out right in the middle of them. They're like, okay, that's cool, whatever. You can just be with us. A couple of shots going back and forth, but they don't want to make the push onto this because I guess they're afraid of a third party coming into play with it. Here we go. They finally see them getting a little bit of damage onto Style. Gonna go ahead and push that in, and that's going to be finally a Freak of Freaks Fatal getting taken out.
Yeah, a Freak of Freaks Fatal. A good day for them overall, though. A lot to hang their hat on. So a great job by them. I can't believe this. Look at this. VSG up in the top right, still hanging on somehow after taking blue damage for forever, losing 2 members, being blocked out by Rusty. Rusty wasn't quite able to finish them off, so a nice job by them to survive, but now they've got Tempo Storm, the last 2 members of them, blocking their path.
Got Windstrike that's kind of looking back over towards NP5 at the time. That's allowing Envy to just play along that ridge right down below them to the south. That should allow them to easily pass in. If they look back up towards the north, they should be aware, okay, Ninjas in Pajamas, they were making that mini red zone that we saw just a second ago right on top of Envy. So aware that that's probably the angle that they went to, but no surprise they're starting to look back towards the north. Windstrike, I don't necessarily know if they have a good angle to look back down onto this. So going to be interesting to see how we see the approach come through. Are they going to hear the footsteps as Moody is just walking up and forward? Actually takes the shots back over towards Spartan. This is going to give away their position back over to Windstrike. And you see instantly spinning back around onto this. It's going to be Tixu, looks back down onto one angle. Going to try to connect over with Pat Caps. Shots do come through, but that's going to be 1 down. Now it's all just onto Nuke trying to play on that other angle. It's just not going to pay off as Windstrike does get eliminated. And you can see the other members of Envy just trying to run back down and res. A lot of nice angles coming into play.
Yeah, they've taken a lot of knocks already, so you can see their health is ticking down quite quickly. They're trying to get in and get these reses off. The smokes are down. Right now, they look relatively safe. Envy doing a great job just hanging on by a thread here.
They are just having to chain res as they make their way through. That means it's going to be a lot of armor lost, a lot of meds moving into these fights. They're getting a couple of kills here, but haven't really had a chance to loot a lot. We've got BB that's up on top of this hill with NIP right down below him. And again, Armory Gaming taking the shots, really ripping them apart from the side.
Love the aggression here from AG, looking to try to put some damage into Ninjas in Pajamas and maybe make them feel a little bit worse about the end of their day, despite the incredible day that the Ninjas in Pajamas have had. Boya here looking to set up with his Mini 14. NBS is throwing some grenades to try to back off. But BB makes an aggressive move here and wipes NIP out.
Just looks back down the hillside. Meanwhile, Armory Gaming was kind of going for a flank position off to the side of this. We've got 17 and 4 AM right up on top of each other. Just a rock separating. Grenades are just going a little bit wide. As you can see, Monkey King right up on top of this. Going to spray back down on the angle. Gets the one. You can see his teammate flunks back around, but it's going to be on the other side of this. So Godby now under a little bit of pressure. The last member alive. He did get a couple of downs off of this, just trying to go for the flush. Very aware that the push could be coming, but how is Shox going to play this? Is he going to go for the push as well? Godby, the last guy standing. He can spot it, and look at that. Godby gets the shots and should be able to get the res.
Godby with an incredible play here on the low ground, defending against 17. He should be able to get at least one member, if not both, of his team back up. And AG continuing to rack up kills. Duckman getting a knock here. Hanboya pushing in onto BB. BB on the back heel here as Envy is getting in on this action as well.
Duckman's also making the push. Rusty Zero up over here. Got a couple of friends that are hanging around with him as it's the remnants of VSG. Going to see how they move through this now. Actually, he's outnumbered at this point. Can't take those shots that we saw him taking just a second ago. So we've got Envy that's just slowly pushing their way further and further in towards the circle, just trying to collect more information. Looks like they might have spotted Zampa as he was going for a peek on the other side of this. Zampa, I believe we just saw him get a crate a second ago. So curious to see what tools he has inside of him, as it's going to be Zira getting taken down there. So that's going to be Crusaders going out. But Moody's still looking back up for this, and I believe Zampa sees him as well. A couple of bullets exchanged back and forth, as I believe Zampa probably he's gonna keep going for that peek. That's Zampa. We know Zampa does these types of things.
Moody just barely misses. Oh, he does get the headshot onto Zampa. What a Car 98 headshot there. Incredible stuff from Moody. I love to see those bolt action snipers.
Here we go. Envy slowly creeping up the other side. They've got Armory Gaming back down behind them. Tempo Storm should be getting that res, but Envy is going for the push onto it. VSG making their way into the circle, and you can see, look back and forth on both these angles. Shots coming back up for it. Lots of repositions now starting to make their way forward. Tempo Storm starting to push their way forward. Zampa takes a little bit of damage, but Pat Caps takes more, so retreats back down the hillside. We've got Moody doing a push right onto one side of it. Sharky spots out venerated. Pat Caps could be a little bit more vulnerable off that side, but Moody, it all hinges on his aim. He looks back up. He doesn't spot them out, and there we go. Zampa holds off of one angle. Sharky also holding on to the other one. Pat Caps goes down, and the two-man squad from Tempo Storm eliminates Team Envy.
Incredible defense here from Tempo Storm, but now VSG, the last two members here, looking to try to capitalize on this. Hulk getting a lot of damage onto Zampa. He will get the knock, looking to try to push in onto Sharky. Juanitas coming in from the other side. He's going around the corner, trying to flush out Zampa, but Hulk doing a lot of damage here. Sharky on his last legs, coming over the hill, and Hulk will wipe out Tempo Storm.
VSG now sitting on 8 kills. Looking back down the hillside, it's 4 a.m., I believe, heard these shots. Looks like they might choose to go aggressive. Surprise, surprise, 4 a.m. deciding to play aggressive. Never would have heard that one before, but with this, that's just going to allow Armory Gaming, that's down to the south, they're just going to let this fight out, and they don't really have to worry about it. Circle even shifts back down towards Armory Gaming. We might be seeing another AG victory.
I mean, Hulk, the star player for VSG during PKL this year. 5 kills already here, hanging on by a thread this entire round. It's been kind of the story of the day for VSG. They have just been finding ways to get into this late game with a couple members left. 4 a.m. had to back off a little bit. Godby took quite a bit of damage. And look at this. Once again, our tie team, Armory Gaming, has 4 members left. BB with 1, 4 a.m. with 3, and VSG with 2.
BB getting a little bit of karma. Remember we saw him. They had somebody hanging out right in those same shacks over there. Now one man just sitting back over there as AG is just taking a couple of pot shots back over to him. So here we go. We've got the match leaderboard across the side. Tempo Storm did go down already, but sitting on 12 kills. We got VSG right back behind that. Envy also out, but got a lot of kills themselves. So VSG still sitting up towards the top of the hillside, but you can see 4 a.m. knows exactly the approach that they have to push down, just waiting for it. ZGG's just got the angle. So looks like VSG is going to opt into going back around towards the eastern part of the circle.
Yeah, some smokes coming out here from the teams trying to find ways to cover their approaches into the circle. Here is Duckman's. He senses that, or he probably knows that there's a member of BB in there. He wants to make sure that they're not able to play spoilers for them. Keep all 4 of them alive. They've got 4 a.m. up on their northern flank. We'll see how this plays out. 4 a.m. starting to inch down the hill a little bit here. ZG hiding in the smoke, waiting it out.
We have BB that is such an influence right now. Sure, they only have 1 member up, but that's not really allowing AG to move anywhere. They know that they have this player back behind them, and they just can't go for the push on it because then they surrender the circle. But if they move too far forward, he can just pop up and down one of them at a very pivotal time. So you can see Duckman's, his job is just to keep control of that back angle back over there with Hanboya. But that means 2 members are now looking back over towards 1, and we have 4 a.m. just to the north of them, as well as VSG. So we'll have to keep an eye on how these guys make their way back down through the circle.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice. AG has all 4 members up, but they are on the low ground here. 4AM and VSG control the high ground, so it could be a very difficult proposition for them to get up. It depends on how this next circle goes. It's about to show itself, so Sato, he's not going to have much longer before he needs to be flushed out of this building. His door is cut off by the blue as well here, so they are still waiting. Duckmans is not going to let Sato get away with this.
There we go. Sato's going to have to make his push up and forward, so you can see AG trying to get a little bit more information. Do spot out forever. Seem to be aware of where ZGG is at as well. So Duckman's always been the point man for Armory Gaming, and he has had some crazy kills coming in, but he's got 4AM right up in front of him. Keep in mind, VSG also looking back over towards 4AM, so they have to be very cautious on how they make their approach.
Yeah, 4AM here still trying to put some shots onto VSG. Nothing quite landing there. They know where they are, but they're not able to quite get those shots through the grass there. Forever starting to inch his way a little bit more towards the middle, trying to find an angle on them. There's such a steep hill here in between them and AG that he's kind of able to a little bit safely do this, but General has moved up to this tree.
ZGG really wants to make the push back over there, but he knows that could just turn out so terrible, as now a little bit of a fight is happening between BB on one side of it, and they've got GodV on the other side. Sato's just taking some damage, and there we go, finally eliminated. AG has a little bit more control of the circle, but look at that, GodV does get the shot back over towards General as well. GodV now going for a strong uphill position on them. Duckmans could be a little bit vulnerable, as now we also have VSG pushing around the outside of this. This could put AG in a sandwich position, so has to be extremely cautious. Here we go, the grenade is getting cooked. This is kind of hard to hit as it could roll back down that hillside. Yeah, that's a very steep angle back behind him.
Yeah.
So now we do have damage slowly creeping up that hill. He knows exactly where GodV is at. Got Hulk on the other side of it, and look at that. That's going to be Duckman's going down. VSG just walking right back up to the vulnerable Frank on the side of AG, so has to be very, very cautious. GodV gets the angle back down on the other side of this. We saw AG, they had the numbers, but they are just getting destroyed on 2 different angles.
GodV, the absolute hero here for 4AM in the last game, trying to make it a good finish for them going into this. Hulk getting us some damage. Juanita taking some damage as well, but they do get Hanboya 10 kills here for VSG, and they are into the last 2 against 4AM.
Here we go. 4AM has a strong position. They've got the grenades starting to rain down next to Juanita. Hulk pops up and just gets instantly dropped, and Juanita goes down as well. So that is going to be a great kill coming out from 4AM, getting themselves 11 kills, all things considered.
What a huge moment there when GodV was able to clutch that fight against 17 and get the last 2 members of his team up. That proved to be the pivotal point in the match for them.
I mean, gosh, 4AM, these guys just are not afraid of anything. GodV coming up with 6 kills, Forever back behind that with 4. We got ZG with 1 and Captain not coming out with anything that time around, but VSG, Hulk, 7 kills. Great performance from him.
Think about the round that was for them. They got into a fight with Crusaders. It looked good, but it fell apart very quickly. They're stuck out in the blue, having to use a ton of utility. They managed to somehow make it back into the circle and find a 2nd place with 10 kills, 7 kills for Hulk.
That is so huge coming up behind them. And again, AG just constantly appearing in these top 5 positions throughout the day. BB having a good game themselves. They picked up 3 kills and 2 between Sato and KR. And so with that, we also have Tempo Storm in 5th. We got Sharky and Zampa picking up 4 kills with your boy Dre back behind him in 1.
Yeah, I love what I'm seeing out of some of these, non-big regions. We're seeing AG having a really great day today. BB having a nice day today. They got some decent placements. They got some kills. They look to be improving. They look a lot better than they did the other day.
I know you got to be feeling pretty good with VSG having a pretty good day, all things considered, but 4AM, man, these guys have just been unrelenting, so they've got to feel really good about kind of bypassing that elimination spot.
Yeah, absolutely. And at the end of the day, you got to look at NIP here. I mean, this wasn't their best round, but they still ended up getting 4 kills here. So that's another 4 points for them. 77 points over day. I'm just blown away with what I've...
And one thing to note, Tempo Storm got a ton of kills moving into this. They went out very, very early, but I believe last time we saw them, they were sitting on 12 kills moving into the end of the round. Sure, they went out in that bottom, I want to say like around 14th place, but when you get that many kills, it doesn't necessarily hurt you, so you end up perfectly fine not getting any placement points.
Right, exactly. I mean, 14 points is
Tempo
like...
Storm, what am I saying? They got 5th place.
Well, in previous rounds, maybe, I don't know. Yeah, no, they got 5th place. They got quite a few kills here. Tempo Storm playing very well. Again, they were another team that lost a couple members early. They had 2 members that found their way into the late game and picked up a lot of kills for them.
Oh, yeah, and so now, naturally, Ince has had themselves a great day, but I gotta say, NIP feels like the story. Those guys were just racking up good game after good game.
Yeah, I mean, I was just blown away with their ability to pick up kills and placements today. They have to be your top team so far here in the FACEIT PUBG Global Summit.
I mean, Ince also was showing a lot of life. Naturally, Ince is going to have to kind of sit back and watch everybody on the leaderboards tomorrow, as tomorrow is going to be a very interesting series where we're going to be looking at Team A and Team C. Naturally, we had whole 8 teams today that are just going to have to sit back and watch everybody kind of slowly move up the leaderboards on them.
Yeah, okay, guys. Well, we are ready to jump into an interview with 4AM. Take it away.
That is exactly right, guys. I've got Forever down on this stage here. So that was your first chicken dinner of the day. You must be pretty pleased with that.
我们这次采访，然后采访到咱悠远这边，然后今天这一击是咱们今天的第1击，你应该感觉非常的开心，对吧？
对，因为我们是一路打进去的，所以说这把吃鸡很开心。
Because they had very hard battle with other teams, so they feel very pleased about this chicken dinner.
Yeah, particularly you guys have seemed to grow and evolve throughout the day in terms of kills and your placements. What has the team been focusing on to allow you to climb up the leaderboard?
然后这局比赛其实蛮艰险的吧，从中间然后几乎被吃掉，然后最后中途然后遇险过关，绝地求生，然后是什么支持你们打到最后的？
因为我们不太想打淘汰赛。
Because they don't want to go to the lower break.
Well, yeah, just speaking of that, you guys are in Group B. That is it for your games in this stage of the tournament. What are you going to be doing tomorrow? Are you going to be watching the other teams playing?
然后今天 A、B 这2天咱们 B 组的比赛都打完了嘛，然后明天的话，你们是会看其他的组的比赛呢，还是说去有一些其他的安排呢？
会看别的战队打比赛，然后学习一下。
They will see the other team how their performance are and learn something from them.
Well, hopefully we will see that. I'm very excited to get into tomorrow's action. But that is all from us for today. Let's head over to James to break that one down.
4AM with the final win here and getting themselves a pretty decent one in the bag, as well as our final 3 comprised entirely of our Eastern teams there in a final show-off here for day number 2. Joining me to my right-hand side, I have Toffees as well as Avenger. Boys, that is it for Erangel for today. We are done, and we do see with 4AM getting themselves the win towards the very end. A lot of these northern circles keep popping up.
You got to give props to 4 Angry Men, right? There's an adage in boxing that bouts are won one round at a time, one step at a time, one punch at a time. And when you have a bad round, you forget about it, you come back and you just keep that mentality going. That's what 4AM did. They had some bad rounds, but they kept throwing those punches until they started to land. And I got to give them a huge shout out for that.
Definitely so. And small dance here for Miraku as well while this is going on and trying to find themselves that right loot spot. So beyond all that, Avenger, what did you take away?
Honestly, we've had a lot of Northern Circles, and I'm quite surprised that Ince hasn't been able to show up more than they've done so far. So from this game, I actually expect them to do very well. They were in a great position to do so, but unfortunately, they didn't manage to clutch it out.
No, Ence on Erangel is a sad kind of thing right now. It just they started so strong on Miramar, and then they just like let off. But on the opposite side, Tempo Storm, who we're watching right now, had a terrible start on Miramar, but really turned up the volume on the back end of the day.
And VSG here, they actually lost to pretty early, it feels like, in this game, but they did manage to push themselves all the way to the second place, Avenger.
And VSG have had a very weird day today for me. They have had second and third places, 2 second, a third, and then 3 16th places.
Yeah.
Very weird games for me today. It's either a hit or miss, completely hit or miss here for me. Yeah, but they've been doing great. They are in a decent spot. They've accumulated 38 points today so far. So it's not bad. It's around the 6 point per game mark.
We know that VSG has a violent style of play, and I think that we have to expect one day of adjustment to everyone else to sort of figure out how that fits in the global scene. We finally, I think, are starting to see that with that last performance. Expect hit or miss today. Tomorrow, a little stronger.
And that is it done. The highlights done here. All brought to you, of course, by NVIDIA for our final game. So I think I should take away from what you guys are saying, of course, with VSG kind of having a weird up and down day. I can only kind of be half hyped and then half disappointed. So I've got, I guess, like a map, boys. Like, so it's kind of, you know, just in the middle there. Maybe it'll give you full hype later on. We'll see. Gentlemen, I do want to ask you guys, though, about overall how things have gone for a team like Tempo Storm, of course. They got themselves 5th place in this previous game and have not done too badly in some of the other games, with the 2nd place coming off the back of the previous game as well.
I mean, I think Tempo Storm is a great story in terms of turning themselves around. The first half of their day was absolute garbage. I'll just say that. I mean, I could smell the stink from up here. That said, they got rid of it. They fixed it. They made some changes, and they had an amazing second half of the day. If their entire day had been like the second half, they'd be up there with STK and NIP in a conversation for easy advance to the next round. They picked up 9 kills in 5th place in that last match. So now even when they go out, they're playing their game. They're looking for kills and accepting placement as a supplementary point system.
42 points for them for today, and 4th place overall is decent for them. But I would say we expected more from them from Miramar. Usually they're doing really well in Miramar, especially in that game where we saw that it ended around where they usually do it. We saw the Shark interview. They were kind of, if they knew that they was going to go there, they were of course going to be there, but it was kind of a 50-50, and they wanted to make sure, being the team that are closest to the islands, if it went there, they wanted to make sure they could rag up a ton of kills.
And honestly, that last circle was one of their worst rotational circles. The first time they only got in because Maluk sort of crawled his way into the back end of that game. This time they played it differently. They played a lot more aggressive, and they racked up those kill points. Kudos to them. I mean, the top 5 teams got 41 of the kills in that match. So these teams are starting to, I think, get that sense of the timer ticking down and looking to put up those big numbers to stay out of the death round.
Let's check in with 4 Angry Men, of course, here, and see exactly how they were able to play out this final game and get themselves that win in the end.
Throwing Rim today has been kind of a slow start in the start here, but towards the end, having a great game here in the end with 11 kills. Happy to see how they kind of moved around, especially coming out on top from this. It was really what won them the game. God V have been clutching for them in this last game especially.
I mean, I feel like God V spent the first 3 rounds today stitching together the biggest backpack he's ever built, shoved his partners in there, and just carried them through the last 3 because he has been putting in work nonstop. And I've been very, very impressed with his play. And you can even hear the excitement as things have improved for them. They're becoming more active, more alive, and ready to go.
I think very important to also note here for 4 Angry Men, that's their 3rd chicken dinner in 2 days. And considering that they've had themselves 12 games across that, winning 25% of your games is not half bad, I think.
And their kill counts are ticking up on those wins, too. So I think they're starting to also get their heads around sort of knocking out these kills to go along with those big points. So look to see them, I think, easy advance potentially in the top 8. Even with the bad finishes, I think they're
going to be kind of on the edge. I mean, they had a good game, a good day yesterday. Have a decent day today, but they're going to be very close.
Very close.
Well, let's check in with the X factor of the game here, brought to you by HyperX. And I'm keen to see what we've actually got for us here as that lovely ramp does come into view. And what is it going to be? Oh, of course. Sorry, NIP.
The most beautiful part is Mirko just running around. He doesn't have guns, so he decides to, okay, let's just do a resurrection dance here. Da 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 da. Let's blocking the bullets potentially from somebody. That's what I'm thinking.
That's
defensive. It has to be defensive. Like
maybe.
It's a 50-50. I feel like, because he was running around, but also kind of dodging,
defensive, and he has nothing to do until he gets him up because he can't drive the car away.
I mean, but I think you also, it was funny to watch, but there's also the X factor of things like that happen in games where your buddy runs you over, and it's very easy to let that get into a negative headspace of, dude, I can't believe you did that. Now my knock timer's super fast. He jumps out, he adds a little levity to the situation, runs around. He's probably having a good time while he's doing it. You know these guys are good-natured, keeps it light.
I would have loved to hear the team comms in those 15 seconds where it like, oh no, okay, I'll help you, and then the dance, and then he starts going on.
I guarantee it was, oh no, I'm knocked. Oh, don't worry, I'll defend you from bullets, and joke, and they all started laughing, and you forget about it.
Exactly, because also before that they've had an amazing run of today. They're of course going to be the winners of today, and so far it's looking really damn good for them because they're also playing tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be an exciting time tomorrow, of course. For now, though, we do have Frankie, who is indeed ready. So we're going to head down over to the stage with the 2nd most handsome ginger in PUBG.
I think he's the most handsome, Kalaris? We'll talk about it later on,
didn't hear the
maybe.
comment. I'm interested.
I'm here with the Sims. Kalaris, he just called you the second most handsome ginger in PUBG.
I mean, there are players that are better looking. Yeah, I can go with that. I'm not alluding to him. I mean, he's a dwarf, so. I'm a tall ginger, he's a dwarf ginger.
You're a giant. You're an ogre. The ogre of PUBG.
That's not very nice, to be fair. He's abusing me for being ginger, you're abusing me for being an ogre.
Let's move on and talk about the inaugural PUBG
Yes,
Classic. Sims, what do you think of the format and the action so far?
I mean, the format's potentially the best we've seen in PUBG today, especially the esport itself keeps evolving, you know, things are getting better. The game changes from month to month with the updates, the tweaks, the changes. The meta could be evolving in time with the sniper updates that we've seen more recently. The Observer UI, everything about it is just, it's on an upward trail. It's going places, it's doing well. This format of a group stage into a main one is unbelievable. I think the main point of today is that Group B is done. Their fates are now in the hands, potentially, of A and C tomorrow. They literally have to stand by, and some of them, unfortunately, will be going to the relegation side of it, whether they like it or not.
Anyone from Group B you think has definitely secured their spot in the finals already?
I didn't see the final standings. I tell you who hasn't. Unfortunately, you have to look at OMG. It was just not the performance that we all expected. We really thought, you know, these are the guys that are coming in off the back of the wins that we've seen. They have been doing fantastic things in their region. PGI, I know there's been a team change there with one player, but still, you come in with such a precedence and a lot of weight underneath you, you think, all right, it's the big dog's turn now. You know, we put Tempo Storm in there today, we put OMG in, and things just didn't look what we expected. I thought they'd be up at the top there, and instead we've got someone like 4AM flying around, just completely crushing it and completely killing it. We've got STK from Group A who's been playing well. Liquid tomorrow, I think, is an interesting one. And Ensas, I mean, all right, they got a win and they put some kills on the board, but it's just a weird and wild expectation. I don't think you can really expect anything. You can take everything, all right, they've done this in this region, they've done this, they've done that. You've got all this fundamental values to your name, but until you get in the pods, anything can happen because of the regions, how people play, the aggression, the play style, and more importantly, the locations that they're dropping.
And the thing is, Liquid are joining us tomorrow, and I know Lion K from OMG has got his sights on them, so maybe OMG are going to work their way up the board tomorrow. We will see, Sims, when you return to cast with Pansy. It's great to have you both casting again. But for now, we need to head back to the desk to close this one out.
Thank you very much. It was a nice attempt at trying to strike back at me, but they failed absolutely miserably. So that's how that's going to go. Gentlemen, did you take anything away from Sim's opinions there? Any thoughts? Or?
I mean, I just wonder how long it takes him to draw that thing on his arm every morning when he wakes up. No, but I think his opinions are, I mean, I get what he's saying, and I think OMG's got to come back tomorrow and put up some really big numbers. Yeah. And I think that some of the teams have to take lessons from the B groups who are in trouble, right? 17 Gaming is a team yesterday that going into a wrangle before they got caught in the Pachinki mess, we're in a position to secure a top 8. Right now, they're in legitimate danger of being in the elimination round, so don't waste a game. There's no such thing as a freebie in a 12-game series.
Sure. Let's check in with the individual winners here throughout the day, of course, as we do have to honor them in their prestige. And NIP was able to take a double chicken dinner throughout the day, but we did not expect the opening from today, which was Brazilian Crusaders getting themselves that first win on the board. Armory Gaming, as well as 4 Angry Men and Ents, are able to get the remaining ones. Avenger, any kind of things that you want to take away from that?
Happy to see Brazilian Crusaders redeem themselves here in the first game, but also happy to see them on the third place on our first match of an wrangle. So I'm not sure it's going to be enough, but they're going to be in a pretty decent spot going into the sudden death stage, because they are going to be in there, that's for sure. But I think they're going to be in a decent spot to go to grand final after all.
We got double wins by NIP, putting them in a very elite club right now. Still, no one else has joined the 16K club, but they were awfully close a couple of times. 4AM does take 3 wins, however, which I think we might see some more tomorrow pop up as NIP and STK show up. But getting 3 wins should put you in a very, very good spot going forward. And I think 4AM should feel pretty comfortable with that.
Absolutely. And finally, just kind of round out what we're seeing there in some of those second places, Africa Freaks really did step up extremely well today. Very impressive performances by them, despite themselves not getting chicken dinners.
And Armory. Big shout out to Armory Gaming. Yes. They actually rose up above 17 in the overall rankings. They had a huge end of the day. Shout out to our Thailand fans, because I know those guys are watching and supporting them in droves. And they deserve it with the bounce bounce back that they showed us this afternoon.
Let's check in with the points accrued throughout all of what we saw through today. This is points from today only, very importantly. And NIP was able to take themselves 77 points up to the very top. Is that one more point than STK?
No, one less
point. One less point than STK. Wow.
Ninjas in Pajamas put up 2 additional kills over STK yesterday, but placement-wise, STK put up 3 extra points. So that's how close these two teams were in terms of their battle for 6. And at 6 games!
Yeah,
these are 2 teams who've only played half of their games, man.
They're playing tomorrow, and they're 100% going to the grand final.
Yes.
We can just say that already.
I have no questions.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult for anything to really topple that position as we see. Ents, despite having a weird day, 40 points coming into them, not too bad at all as well. And that is our points coming in from today. Now what we're going to do is take a look at the overall standings here amongst the 24 teams. And later on, when we actually do get to have a look at that, we will also then isolate for you a little bit. We will tell you which of the teams that have completed their game. So their points will not be shifting after that. But anything, guys, you want to take away from today as well? Anything that I think OMG not having the best days at all is really kind of catastrophic for them. 18 points, not great.
I think what I want to take away from today is Temperstorm's playing tomorrow, and they got second from the teams that have only played today. So they're just after NIP. Them being able to have such a great comeback on their angle matches is going to be amazing for them. And tomorrow, I think they're actually going to be good enough to put themselves into position to be directly in the grand finals.
Yeah, I mean, I think genuinely the takeaway comes down to the teams that didn't have great days today. Go home, figure things out. But you know what? Let it roll off your back. At the end of the day, it's about gathering points to survive the elimination round, and every little bit helps. So go back, watch some VODs, figure out what it is that Ninjas in Pajamas and STK and guys like that are doing, because they're consistently performing. At Ninjas in Pajamas, if they weren't getting a double-digit win in a top 3 finish, they were getting a bottom finish with 4 points, and that's consistency.
Okay, this is our current standings, and as you can see at the moment, Africa Freaks have done plenty of work up towards the top there with 97 points. Let me start this with which teams have completed their 2 days here. So, the teams that have completed their 2 days are Ents, currently sat in 8th place. Ooh, 17 Gaming, as we have them in 6th place.
Yeah.
Africa Freaks, which are in 1st place currently. Envy, which are, where on earth?
7th.
Envy. 7th,
Yeah.
okay. We have 4 Angry Men are completed in 2nd place. We have Brazilian Crusaders, who are in, where are they?
Eliminations.
10 eliminations.
Then 10.
Armory Gaming are complete, and MP5 are complete with their games. So, for all of those teams, either they've accrued all their points. Right. They are either in the top 8 right now, or have the potential to be bumped out, or are already in eliminations. Every other team that you see, other than the ones we have just named, still has an entire day to play for. So if you're seeing STK and NIP up at the very top there, in that middle pack at the very top, then they are absolutely flying away with the points from just 1 day's worth of games.
And if you compare them to the other teams that have 1 days of games, they've almost doubled their scores. The top team with 1 day played besides those 2 is Tempo Storm with 42 points right now, and that's literally almost double. So these guys can come in tomorrow and literally put their feet up on a footrest, relax, and get 3 or 4 kills and probably guarantee their advance.
Yeah.
MP5, BRC, these guys already know they're going to elimination, so it's time to replan, readjust, and get ready.
Yeah, I mean, even Ents, unless something very strange happens, those bottom teams in the top 8 right now that are going to be going down to the eliminations, and that's where things get really hairy, and they only have 6 games to try and get themselves into that grand final. Let's check in with our reporters as well at back Mission Station. That's not them.
It was a dark day in the reporters area.
They are. Hello, boys. How have you enjoyed today?
Yeah, it's been pretty good. We've been back here watching everything play out. And as you guys just saw from there, it's pretty safe to say that Envy and Ents, to start with, are not safe. I think they'll go to eliminations. Anyone below 70 points is looking like elimination stage right now.
Yeah, I agree too.
There's a pretty big gap between 8th and 9th as well. So it's kind of interesting to see how, like, the point difference is pretty important as well, because they're going to be going into kind of the top of the mid-pack, right? So they're looking decent, and I talked to them as well. I think, honestly, them being able to come into the sudden death with that many points is gonna they're gonna be comfortable.
So one thing I want to ask you, Skoom, in particular is when you see how all of these teams have kind of played out, especially the teams that have had their Group B completed now, who has really impressed you the most? Who has really stood out in terms of not even necessarily kills, but rotations? What has really stood out to you, Skoom?
What stood out for me mainly today is how aggressive 4EM is. You saw that instance in Erangel where they just got a knock and they were instantly on the push. And that was like the storyline of today as overall. I feel like teams are pushing against 2-2 splits a lot. ENCE got caught out. Like, I think that was the reason why ENCE did pretty bad in Erangel today, is because they are normally used to being split around in the Pro League.
Twice in that Northern Circle, the 2-2 greedy house split, one knock, and then suddenly they've lost 2 members.
Yeah, teams are playing way more aggressive and attacking splits. I mean, we saw MV attack MP5 in the 2-2 split as well. There's been so many cases like this, and I hope teams will go back and watch that teams are playing so aggressive against 2-2 splits, and maybe consider the 2-2 splits a bit closer, or maybe play as 4, as you see NIP that's playing as 4, and they're being successful because of it as well.
It's stuff they've got away with in the standard leagues, and realizing once they come to the international tournament, not getting away with it.
You know, and D-Man, let me ask you this, since we had the pleasure of listening to you cast every game at PEL, and I think you got to experience the most concentrated amount of PUBG perhaps in history. What has stood out to you that you've seen sort of change in this tournament from where everybody was maybe 2 weeks ago?
Well, I mean, obviously, ENCE are making the adjustments because they have to. Windstrike have kind of played the same way, but the main thing for me is obviously NIP. We're seeing the same style that they've used and the consistency that they've used. They only won 2 games in the entirety of PEL, but they finished 4th, top 5, like all the way through. They had some crazy days. And again, we're seeing the nade kills backed up by the frags. They're really good at landing the nade and then pushing and getting the flanks. And it's obviously worked today, 77-point day. It's incredible.
And that's something that NIP is known for. I mean, at the PGI last year, they came 3rd twice. At the global events, NIP seems to be to step up because they like to play as 4. They like being aggressive. And I think at global tournaments, that pays off.
And nobody else is going to challenge them in South George, that's for sure.
No, not after that VSG massacre. Thank you very much, gentlemen. A huge pleasure to be able to check in with you guys. And now we can also check in with who is going to be our MVP of the day, brought to you by NVIDIA. The big question is, for me, who is it going to be? It might be from one of our teams that performed very well, and it looks like it's going to be Gaxi. There you go, truly unleashed in all facets. But some of these kills coming in, especially through the rusty car windows, was very impressive from him.
Gaxi, 23 kills today. Absolutely insane. By far more than we saw yesterday. I'm pretty sure that it was 16 kills that was the max yesterday we saw. So 23 kills today is absolutely insane. The Gaxi has truly been unleashed today.
And I think that he has been unleashed, but it's worth saying the reason I think Gaxi's been able to excel so much is NBS's IGLing. He's committed to playing back and letting guys, especially Gaxi, play forward and play aggressive and sort of help him execute those pushes, and it's become very strong. I think Gaxi was an under-the-radar player that we rarely talked about a couple of months ago, and he has become more and more and more valuable in terms of the pro scene. And honestly, I'm going to give a shout-out to Frankie for being one of the first people that I remember really latching on to Gaxi and saying, this guy's got an incredible amount of skill, let's focus on him.
She saw the diamond in the rough.
She did see the diamond in the rough.
What I'm worried about is that when he gets unleashed, he kind of wanders off a little bit. So if they manage to keep it together, because we've seen them play as 4, play extremely close together. If they manage to close up that last tie, them playing together as 2-2 towards the end game, I think they're going to take it all.
I'm hoping to see Profi and him run into each other regularly tomorrow, because those are 2 guys who are exactly the same in that context.
2 chain chomps all of a sudden.
Yes, and both of their just like, no, get back here.
All right, well, thank you very much, gentlemen. Absolute pleasure to be with you guys, as always, throughout the day. And a huge pleasure to be able to present you the FACEIT Global Summit here for day number 2. For Group B, their group stage is complete. Tomorrow, we get to watch A and C have their final days to try and accrue points to either get into the grand final stage or then be sent down to sudden death elimination mode. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen out there. We shall see you tomorrow, same time, same place, for more FACEIT Global Summit PUBG Classic.
Slowly passing.